I did my video on Man Ray Rayograph 1923 gelatin silver print. Since he did a lot of artworks, I'm going to be talking about a series of rayographs and photographs he did throughout his lifetime and giving background information about him. Man Ray's actual name is Emanuel Radinsky, and he was born in Philadelphia on August 27th and died at the age of 86. He was the eldest child of Russian Jewish immigrants. Man Ray was known for his photography, but he mostly considered himself a painter. He also is known today with his work in photograms, also known as Man Ray's rayographs, in reference to himself. To define photograms, they are a photographic image made without a camera by placing objects directly onto the surface of a light-sensitive material, such as a photographic paper, and then exposing it to light. And from this, it would turn out as a negative shadow. I quote, "Area of the paper that have received no light appear white. Those exposed through transparent or semi-transparent objects appear gray," for Wikipedia. This technique is sometimes called cameraless photography, which would relate to photograms in relation to without a camera. I found the procedure on how to do this on Wikipedia, and it takes, I quote, "In a dark room or darkened room, objects are arranged on top a piece of photograph material, usually a photographic paper. And when it is satisfied, the material is then processed, washed, and dried." Man Ray's family, especially his mother, loved art and crafts and enjoyed designing their family clothing. This made an impeccable imprint on Man Ray, meaning it left a tailoring mark on his art. What I mean by this is, in a lot of his respective artworks, there are needles, pins, sewing stuff, fabric, thread, all other kinds of interesting things which represent arts and crafts, and this is because of his impact his mother had on him. On this photogram that you're looking at, there are buttons, scissors, etc., just like a sewing kit would have, even probably a belt thing for a Velcro. He makes his art look alive, 3D, and not flat. It looks exciting. To look at some of his artworks, as you can see here, there are pearls and I believe a gun to signify something. But this is some of the artworks that he did, which is interesting because you can see the light popping right at you. It kind of looks like an X-ray of some sort, which I think is very cool. Now in this artwork that Man Ray did, also known as rayographs, you can see a sling in the background and a book on the bottom and kind of this donut round shaped thing coming right at you, and that's the 3D I would like to point out. This photo is a picture of a flat iron and tacks on the bottom of it. And as you can see in the photo, there are tacks on the bottom of the iron. Man Ray was living in New York, and many things, including people, influenced him. He began to have cubism in his artworks, and this was produced in New York. He began to have Dada, and Dada is artworks that are turned upside down and that have witty and irony and comedy in it. And he will meet a man named Marcel Duchamp, and he will have a big influence in Man Ray's later artworks. Man Ray would involve himself more with the Dada era, which is a quote, "a radical anti-art movement." Man Ray started to do ready-mades, which are ordinary objects that are selected and modified. He also started to work with new materials and have new techniques that will influence him later on in the future and will include surrealism. More about his background, he moved to Paris and got married, and he encountered a love affair with another woman. For 2 decades, he'll be known as a popular photographer. But surprisingly, he moved to California, where the Beverly Hills is located, which I might add is a very popular place. And in this photo, you can see he's holding a gun. And in the previous photo that I've showed that he made a photogram, he was holding a gun. And as you can see, there's rope around his neck. And there are ready-mades included in the photo. I want to add that he might be emotionally calling for help in these photos, in these photograms that he is portraying, that he is showing us. Man Ray still has a great influence today, and what I really like about him is his rayographs, or photograms per se, look like X-rays, look like floating objects, and it has impacted his life greatly, as you can see in each of his works. I would like to add that in this rayogram in the background, there are 2 Eiffel Towers, and that shows how much he loves Paris. And you can see film also as well because he loves photography. And there is a sewing kit on the right side. It looks to me as a sewing kit, and it shows that he loves arts and crafts as well as his mother, and he shows this through his artworks, his attributes, and that's wonderful. Man Ray still continues to have an influence on us today because, per se, in my high school class, I actually did a radiogram, and it's interesting to see that his work, what he has taught us, is being incorporated today and throughout society, per se, and I think it's amazing. A quote Man Ray said, "Of course, there will always be those who look at technique, who ask how, while others of a more curious nature will ask why. Personally, I've always preferred inspiration to information." I would like to end with that quote. Thank you for listening.